great. So I guess we'll just go with approval of the agenda. Do you want to the
Right. Just 1 second, it's gonna.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I'd like
do you
to
wanna
add
put
a couple of things
on late
on,
items.
yeah,
Okay.
into new business. One being a new committee member is required, the Hearth representative. So is no longer on the committee. And the other one that I just realized today, I just found out today, is that we need to put together our 2025 budget request.
Okay. Great.
We just reference policy as we go through that.
Rather than run through it, yeah. Let's do that. Okay, so we'll go with show of hands for approval of the agenda then, as is. The new business, new committee member required for the Hearth representative. Hearth. Say that wrong, and Jamie gives me grief. And 2025 budget request. So I can remember if I my hand up for the votes.
I think you do.
Yeah, it's okay. All right. So I can't. It's good.
Yeah, look under. It's under.
Oh, yeah.
Look,
Oh, great. Then you can
Awesome.
see.
you just have to tell me if anyone said anything in chat like that today.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Brilliant. Okay, so approval agenda, confirmed adoption of minutes.
You move that.
Okay. By Jillian. I should assume, any public comments?
No.
Nope, nothing coming through.
No.
Okay. New business here. Okay. Okay, well, we'll move right on to new business. Do you want to, why don't we get through 4.1 and 4.2? And then we can add discussion on the committee member and the budget request, and then move to the closed meeting?
Sure.
Okay, sounds good. So then that gives us ideas for new commissioned artwork 4.1. We are discussing the pedestrian shed art and the bike shed art. Now, I have no information on pedestrian shed art. Do you want to run with that?
Sure.
Okay.
So this was something that was brought to me by the Parks Department, because the pedestrian shed, so the pedestrian shed is the one when you're down at the ferry. The shed that's on the side of the government dock. So the shed where there's the reading library. There you go. And there it is. Okay, perfect. So this shed needs to be redone, needs to be repainted.
Okay.
And so it was brought to my attention saying, hey, what about this as a site for some art and some
Okay.
installations? They would like to paint it and do an anti-graffiti coating on it, but then if you look at the shed, like it's got all these little nooks and spaces that in a way lends itself pretty nicely to, vignettes of some sort. So it's an interesting idea. We could potentially put a call out to artists to do something in each of those little blocks. So the idea was also floated that this needn't be something that's restricted to visual art. It's quite nice to imagine some literary works in that space too, potentially. So it's an idea of a project that the parks budget could cover the painting of it if we wanted to take on any art installations. And it seemed like an interesting morph of the idea that an individual, and I want us to be really careful about not saying individual names in the open meeting, but as we know, the bike shed art, that was an individual who came forth with an idea, which has its own, like how we actually accommodate that within our rules is a bit unsure, but
Yeah.
this would be something that we can do with a public call. So I said I'd bring it to the committee for discussion about what you all think about this idea.
Great idea. Excellent idea. Really.
And what's quite interesting about it is I noticed in our policy that a pedestrian-friendly snug code will greatly enhance the inclusion of public art. So it's actually
It's with the
it's really in alignment with what
trying to do.
rules of engagement.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great potential opportunity. Do you have any sense of when the works people wanna like move ahead on the repainting?
They want to paint it in this budget year. So use up 2024 funding for that initial painting, and then I would imagine we would implement something in the new
Right.
year.
Okay,
So would it just be painting, do you think? Or, could we like have like sculpture like integrated into the cubes, like a 3D thing? Like
Yeah,
if we put a call out, could we just kind of make it like wide open, and then we would determine whether it's like safe or, graffiti proof or.
yeah. And maybe we'd want to have a diversity of 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional and some that's prose only or stories that are told in these spaces and words or cartoon,
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of opportunity.
there is, I guess I would have a couple concerns come up for me. Would be, obviously, the more people we're commissioning, whether it's poets or artists, of course, each of them would need to be paid. That may impact any budget constraints we might have. Maintenance, I definitely want to be conscious of that, only because it is it's got a history of unauthorized marking. So that's sometimes a difficult habit to break. And it is like one of the few places where it's been thus far sanctioned in a way, right? Like nobody's given anybody any grief about it.
Right.
And so with no other option or venue for that kind of thing, does that mean if we put something official in there, does that mean it's more subject to some vandalism? I don't know.
Mhm.
I feel like it might be.
Happens to the library. That's in the existing library.
I think they could coexist. I think that, then the idea, that's why some people like the idea of the little sections having prose as opposed to not just visual art, right? Also having literary
And leave the books.
and leave the books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you set aside a section that's just shelving for books.
I would imagine the Parks Department would kind of leave it as it is
And just repaint.
and repaint. Yeah, and they definitely, can I see the picture again? Yeah. They definitely want it to have an anti-graffiti coating, and whether that would be on the paint itself, and then anything that's mounted would be mounted on that, like we did with the lock wall, or if it was work that was composed directly on the wall itself, then to coat it afterwards with
Oh,
anti-graffiti paint.
right.
So the sections where the shelving is would stay and then there would be paintings behind it.
Or maybe those sections don't. Because there's a lot of sections.
We could scale up and down.
Yeah.
Not necessarily use every single one, but depending on what came in for proposals. And if we use the opening size of those voids as the blanks, like we did with the left wall,
Yeah.
I think is what you're suggesting, like offer people blanks to work on. So
Yeah.
either painting directly on the blanks or would we like, for the pros, for instance, would we just commission the writing itself and then have it output onto vinyl so it's all cohesive, like
And
it
then
all
we
looks the
print it
same?
out.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. That may help to keep it a little more cohesive than a whole bunch of very different.
Yeah,
That's interesting. So receive digital art that we print and mount.
That could be done, and it could be done like on a cheaper substrate that is durable, like say Bill, what's that stuff called that we used to mount like photos to? Dye-bond or Alucore is another one. There's
Both of
Yeah.
those.
oh, that's what we did we did the text, the didactic for the lock wall and that
Yeah,
stuff.
we did.
It holds up pretty well.
Yeah.
And you can peel it, you can reuse it.
And it wasn't
It
expensive.
was not expensive.
No.
Right. So that might be an option. Yeah. Okay. So how should we, so I guess we would say we are in favor of continuing discussion on that, and we should maybe add that to. We're not gonna come to any resolution in this meeting, but we should maybe look at convening, we need to make an artist call. So this will be a action item for drafting an artist call for the pedestrian shed.
If it's something we want to go with, right? Because we.
Yeah, but
Kinda
do we
needs-
want to vote on? Is that a,
How many members are we missing? One for sure. Actually, maybe we're not missing many members. Judy. Or do we put it towards the end after we discuss the other pieces as well?
all right, let's defer for now and see how long this meeting goes. And if we've got some time to do that, and if not, we will decide how to reinvigorate that conversation.
Yeah.
quick question. What was the timeline for them painting it?
They'll probably do it within a month, I imagine.
Okay,
They want to do it in this calendar year.
do we know what color they're painting it?
Good question.
They were looking at the municipal brand colors, so I think the one called Sunset, but that's absolutely not fixed at all. It's
Like,
just,
like the yellowy goldy color?
yes, yeah, not the green, the yellowy one.
Okay. Okay.
All right, any other questions or can we move on? All right, bike shed. It's got my name on it too, but I think this is an open discussion. We're all as up to speed on that, I think. Do you have any new information from
I don't have any new, I'm just not understanding, as per our policy, how we would proceed with something like that, given that it was an individual came to us. I don't really see how we proceed in an equitable way.
Right, how does that impact anyone else ever coming to us and asking for?
Right.
Yeah,
Why would we agree to this without sort of a framework that allows us to, or
Well-
seems fair?
let's just look at this donation policy.
That's last time we read
Yeah.
policies. Cause like, I don't really see it in here. I believe it falls under. So within commissioning of new work, there are competitions, requests for proposals, or direct commissions, and I would think that's a direct commission. But I just want to make sure that whatever we do is viewed as fair across the community and people having that opportunity to.
Yeah.
So I didn't really see anything actually in our policy that helped me find an avenue for that.
Well, unless we look at it as a donation, because we can always consider those. And we would, okay, so the public art, Boone Bowen municipality may consider the offer of donations and gifts of artwork for placement in a public space. The PAC shall evaluate each proposal using established criteria that considers artistic merit, site suitability, significance of the subject of the artwork, liability, and maintenance. A donated art will also require funding for the maintenance and conservation, restoration of the work being donated, the amount of which will be negotiated as part of the acceptance agreement between the municipality and the donor. So we wouldn't necessarily open ourselves up to a flood of requests to put artwork out there, or if there were other sort of donations of the similar sort following this, if we were to accept it, I mean, we have the option to decide to accept the donation or decide not to accept the donation.
Mhm.
Right? So it's not like we're on the hook for making future promises, right? Everybody agrees to that?
Except in this situation, they're asking for financial support.
Which is the covering the cost of the paint. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Feel like it'd be minimal. It's like a minimal amount of investment for kind of a big bang for the buck on that site, because it's pretty dire under that shed.
Mhm.
And I think the artist has gone to some trouble to, consider I think there was a logo, one of the Bowen graphics, the animals was involved in that as well, which actually, now that I think about it, we'd have to actually get permission. Who's the artist who designed the slug and the?
I don't know.
It was from Rethink Ad Agency.
That's right.
Okay.
Right, so they're fully municipal owned for use.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, then we're okay with copyright. All right, great. Yeah, it's not,
It's a tricky one a
it's a
little
tricky
bit,
one.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's a tricky one. Well, what if we, because we're such a small community, we I think are able to, maybe respond in a more nimble fashion than say other municipalities, much larger bases. Like, does it seem outrageous to think that we could discuss and possibly accept and fund the work?
No, I don't think it's outrageous. I think if we present it to council, because council has the final approval,
Yep.
and if they agree with our reasoning and saying it's following policy, and this is the reasoning,
It could be, so just a 3.2 in our policy under acquisition. Artworks for the public art collection may be acquired through direct purchase of completed artwork, commissioning of new work. For example, competitions, which we run, requests for proposals, or direct commissions. So this, like you said earlier, Jillian, would maybe fall under a direct commission. Community-based art project, no. Appendix A. All right, let's go to Appendix A. Let's see. Okay, so council's got the final say either way. Decisions may be made based on recommendations from PAC, right, selection panels, which I think this would be a direct recommendation from us as PAC. Required work may be purchased, commissioned, donated, or approved through this program. Okay, so the budget would be minimal, and we can actually help to draft that.
I guess it's the should we be
Should we be,
doing the work to that, like, should we? I guess so. Like, if we're asking for a donor to do that work,
yep,
if they're donating it,
well, we're in this scenario, I'm suggesting we make a direct
Yep.
commission, which means we can take on, you know, almost, you know, we can take on any amount of these guiding criteria. If the artist is willing to do all the labor for free, and then all we're supplying is materials and anti-graffiti coating after it's completed, I think that falls within our right to do that, and it doesn't contravene any policy points. I think we can justify the other points here. So we have criteria. All commissioned artworks must include a budget for installation and future maintenance costs. I think those would be minimal based on our experience with the lock block wall, which has really required very little in terms of maintenance. Must be consistent within the scope of the BIM collection. I feel like it would fit. I don't know. We could, you know, as PAAC, we could discuss that or agree that it does or does not. The quality, I don't recall his correspondence, but I felt that he had demonstrated relevant experience in doing these murals. Do you recall?
I think, Jamie, you might have more information than us.
What's?
The-
Quality?
Yeah, like has the artist done this sort of larger scale painting work before?
I don't think so.
Don't think so.
Yeah,
Okay. I mean, he's definitely good on the whatever program he was using to design the work
Yep.
digitally.
Yep.
Okay, that could be something to assess.
I mean, the other option he had was to do a, not actual painting, but a cover, you know, the vinyl cover,
Oh, yeah.
to do it that way.
A vinyl cover like
You know, the vinyl,
that we would stick directly on the wall.
yeah,
Kind of thing. Oh, yeah. That's possible too. Yeah, I mean, that would be faster and
would be directly from his computer. 'cause it's
Yeah.
Computer generated.
right.
It seems slightly out of alignment with what the type of art is, though.
I agree with that. I think it'd be nicer if it was painted on.
Okay.
So I don't know what kind of experience he has with large scale. Because everything he does is computer generated.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. That's quite a different thing, isn't it, to be against the wall? doing it?
Just to throw out a name there, Jean Bradbury, you know, who pretty much everybody probably knows on Bowen. She does murals all the time, outdoor murals, and you know, maybe we could hook the two of them up together and she could help him out with some suggestions of materials and things like that, specific paint.
Okay. Okay, well, let's, how about this? As a group, would we all agree that, considering this as a commission through our acquisition policy makes the most sense if we do proceed? It seems to fit that structure best. But before we would make a decision on that, Jamie, can I send a couple of action items out to you then to reach back out to the artist? Try and clarify what sort of experience he has with painting on a larger format like that. And if he doesn't have any, would he be willing to work with an experienced mural artist? We should also get a sense of what he might anticipate needing for paint, like how much the paint would cost. And supplies, obviously, he's gonna be using brushes and tape and drop cloths and stuff like that.
When we bring this to council, I just have a legalistic thing. I don't think, well, we're commissioning it, but I think we need to put in some kind of caveat that it's part of the building and we're not kind of engaged to protect this artwork in perpetuity if the building goes, et cetera, just because it's painted onto the building. And I just want to like manage the expectation there about like if it gets expected to be conserved or saved some other way if the building moves.
Sure, yeah, good point, Phil. That we can put that language into the agreement. If we get to that stage, we'll draft up an agreement that would contain that. Okay,
That'd be part of that, that agreement and the maintenance.
That's
plan and
right.
all that. Yeah.
totally. Okay, is there anything else about the bike shed question? If we get that information back from Jamie.
And I think just following some of what's in here might help with some of the questions, I guess, right? Because we'll have to really document all of this and
Mhm.
for how it's presented to council. I could see some conversation around this piece.
Yep, for sure. But it's also, I don't know, feels like
It's
better
pretty-
than nothing down there. I mean,
Yeah,
oh
no,
my
it's a
God.
pretty cool
Yeah,
idea.
It is pretty
It's-
cool.
yeah.
And it fits with, you know, it is that bike shed is used by a lot of the, you know, teens on Bowen, who are coming down there, running their bikes down there to get on the ferry to go to school. And so it does kind of make sense. And it's not like it's the lock block wall. It's tucked away. It is a very kind of a sort of a more of a personal for Bowen kind of space, I guess,
Mhm.
you know? So, but of course, if council says no way, then that's how it goes. But, I suspect they might be kind of interested in seeing that. Okay, adding new business, 2 points that Jillian brought up at the beginning. So we need to consider a new committee member, as a Hearth rep. So we lost, Faye. That was very brief, very brief stint for Faye. Yeah, I know. That was unfortunate. But I think just work demands and travel back and forth between Montreal and here, it's just making that too difficult. So do you have any recommendations or names that you might put forward for that, Jamie, that we can?
I hadn't thought of it.
No,
Didn't
okay.
realize it was.
No, it's a new business.
No,
It just
no,
got added.
I just
Very
thought about
yeah.
it, going, oh, right, we need another person. Because we were, right.
Yeah.
No, I haven't even, I wouldn't off the top of my head. have-
Sure.
I-
Is that, like, I think last time a few of us were reaching out directly to, Hearth members.
Somebody did, I didn't. Cause I remember Faye being,
I reached out to Faye direct, yeah, I reached out to him, but somebody had reached out to somebody else, at that time too, who,
I just want to be careful about talking about people's names.
oh,
That I do.
yeah,
Okay.
gotcha, thanks.
Thanks.
Maybe we can circulate an email. Jamie, maybe you could circulate an email with all the names of the Hearth members.
it has to be a Hearth member?
Yeah.
Member that buys a membership or a board of directors?
I believe
Board
it's on the,
member.
yeah.
I believe it's board member, yeah.
Yeah, we're just going through a campaign right now, so I don't know who any new board members will be.
It might help, it might be a real draw.
Oh, okay. Sure about that, but okay. So, yeah, I'm not ready with that. I don't know. And our board is quite small right now and they're all very busy with other committees.
Okay, well. It's, we need to have a representative there, in order to fulfill our obligations as the PAC.
Okay.
We set that up at the beginning. Either we decide maybe to relax that or but that would require change to be proposed to.
But I think maybe we could be status quo until the new board is established and the right person seems.
Okay.
seems that, I don't know, that, because if that's happening now, if you're recruiting now,
Yeah.
it might not be too long.
No, okay.
Well, a few months. December being in there.
Right.
In our AGM, not till December and.
Okay, let's table that one and we'll see what changes come forth for new members there. Okay, and then
I will ask that instead of, I think that it's one person from this committee that talks to that person, and we know who that is. Is it you? That I'm, that only one person is doing it. Approaching.
oh, that only one person is approaching well, we have to put the ask out to, I think, the entire membership.
Sure,
Yes.
sure. And see what comes.
Yeah,
out of it.
if anybody is interested, they can come and I guess, is that what you're saying? They could come and contact somebody, me, I guess, directly? Right.
I'm thinking that would be appropriate as
Yeah.
opposed to me.
Yes, okay, absolutely. Unless you want to stick handle the entire thing and bring it to us, but I'm happy to field.
Yeah, as long as it's just one person. I don't really care if it's me or you. It's just as long as it's not confusing that there's a couple people approaching.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Either way, what would you prefer?
I can do it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Okay, so Jamie will engage with present and potential future Hearth Board members to inquire about their presence here on the PAAC. Great. Thank you, Jamie. The 20, going on to we're still in 4.1. The 2025 budget request. So that's something that we have to draft up before. What's the deadline on that, Kelly?
But we're in that budget preparation time, so it will be solidified early in the new year, so there is a
Okay.
little bit of time, but we need to, if we want to do a significant project next year and use funds from the reserve, we need to put that in the capital request for 2025 so that we can access those funds and pull them from reserve and
Right.
into the budget. So both using the reserve funds, but also asking for operational funds as well, which I haven't always remembered to do, quite honestly, but nor have we
I
used
thought,
any.
right, I thought operational funds were automatic.
No, I have to make sure that I do it. So, yeah.
All right.
So I can do that 2,500 operational fund request for the budget, but I wouldn't know what to request in terms of a larger scale. A larger sum of money removed from reserve to operating.
Okay, I'm confused because I thought there was an automatic $10,000.
There is, so there's an automatic $10,000 a year put into the reserve,
Okay,
but if we wish to use it, we
Yeah.
need to make the budget request so it comes out of reserve and into the annual, that year's operating.
right, okay, so it's accounted for.
So in other words, by January, you need to know exactly how much we want to spend
And on what?
and on what. Wow.
Well, I don't know if we'd have to say and on what super clearly, but if we
Oh,
came up with a ballpark amount.
Yeah,
Why can't we just say 10 grand
We can,
and we'll find ways to spend it?
oh, for sure, but it might not be enough if we want to do a big project.
Oh, you're saying that we would ask for more than 10.
because we've
Well-
got more than 10 in the reserve.
We have more than 10 in the
Oh.
reserve, but even although that annual allocation is 10,000, it's not accessible for use unless we request it to be taken from the reserve
Right.
and into.
So anything from the
Usable.
past, we can't.
It still exists.
Yeah.
It's ours, it's there. It's what's ours, so it's there for the program.
Right.
We just need to say, hey, we plan to use it in 2025. Therefore, let's pull it out of operating, out of that reserve.
Right, so it's gotta actually officially come out of the books in reserve and go into the books of operating for that calendar year,
Yeah,
2020.
exactly. And I think adjustments can be made later on if it wasn't the right amount or we didn't spend it all or things like that. It's not as if it would disappear.
Okay, so that actually requires, a meeting to discuss potential future
Yeah.
larger scale artworks, which, we haven't done for quite some time.
Yeah.
So it's a languishing discussion.
I just wanted to get it on our radar a little
Yeah.
bit. And then maybe what I could do in the meantime is do a placeholder amount
Okay.
and adjust it as we get some clarity over the next couple of months or something like that.
Yeah, all right. How about we put that discussion, the budget request, on the next agenda as a priority? And that will, but that will require a discussion about, and we don't need to nail everything down, like you say, it doesn't need to be exactly specific, but we should have some idea of like, possible larger scale, works that we could engage with. Yeah, okay. With that, you got that? Nice, you're such a fast typer. I'd still be on like the first sentence. Okay, great. Anyone else have any questions, issues? Does that make sense right now, what we're suggesting? Great, okay, cool. Now, do we move to a closed meeting and then open back up for the rest of it, or do we go through the rest of it and go to closed meeting at the end?
I think, yeah, we go through the rest of it, and then we'll move to close so we can discuss some of the more confidential
Right,
content.
okay.
Yeah. So I could start 4.2, that means.
Oh, yes, sorry, 4.2. Let's not mess that up. Please, go ahead.
So we have had an offer of someone who would like to commission a piece of art from a local artist and donate it to the community center. And I don't want to mention any names of the artists or of the potential donor, but the idea of the top was something about 4x8 in size. Sorry, it's
Okay.
more than 4x8. I will say that I believe the PAAC would be in support of this artist's work for the relevance and style to the site.
Okay.
And I did run this by at a senior management meeting asking, is this okay? Is it equitable? Can we do this sort of thing? And the census was yes, because anybody essentially could offer to commission some work and have it donated to this public site. So we wouldn't say no based on just being an individual in this work. So I believe it does follow within our policy properly.
For a donation?
Yeah, for a donation of a
Okay.
commissioned work. There would be some details to work out in terms of, we're talking about art, we always want some of the cost of the maintenance work to be included in the donation, so
Right.
we'd have to work out some of those details, but as an idea to pursue, I think it does meet our criteria. So I thought I'd bring it to the group.
So this
Is
is
it
something,
something that could go in a group email as well?
It just came to me as an individual email. I didn't send it out to the group because we're supposed to try and talk about these things in public a little bit more than through email channels, so.
Sure. Okay.
And we can talk more openly, I guess, and close with names of the artist. I wouldn't mention the donor's name, but.
so can I ask a few questions?
Mhm.
So this piece would become a permanent collection, part of a permanent collection for the community center.
Correct.
And where would it live?
I think that would be us to decide, going into the community center and identifying a nice spot.
Right, and so if this goes forward, sorry,
No,
Scott,
no.
if this goes forward, then there should be a policy in place for accepting all art. And is there a line that you need to draw? Is this going to be an ongoing thing? Where do those pieces live and how are they honored? How are they protected?
Well, I think a lot of that's in here.
Well, I don't read it in there.
Oh, okay.
I don't, I guess why I'm saying that is because I'm on the art committee for the healthcare center.
Mhm.
And we have long conversations about donated art and what happens with that art.
Yeah.
And where it lives. And is it there forever, or does the healthcare center have the option of taking that donated piece and then selling it so the money goes back to the healthcare center?
Oh,
Right, so, and maybe it's a bit more complicated, but it is complicated, because if you open those doors, I can tell you right now, a lot of art's gonna come in.
Hmm.
Because we have a lot of beloved artists on this island that have art that they want to donate.
oh, really?
Oh,
Okay.
yes. Well, didn't you see how many pieces of art was at the opening of the healthcare center?
No, I wasn't at that event.
There was
So,
like 60 pieces of donated art from
Mhm.
community. I'm just worried if you open the door. And you're gonna have to have a place to honor these pieces, keep them safe.
Oh, are you assuming that we would be automatically subject to accept everything that was offered?
Not automatically,
No.
No.
but how do you jury that?
Well, that's partly our job if we are looking as PAC to accept a donation. In this case, does anything change because it's the municipal, it's the community center? Very good points, Jamie, for
I feel
sure.
like this is really sensitive and probably should go to the closed.
okay.
I do, I feel
Yeah.
like this really is a sensitive, it is, I know it's a sensitive subject at the healthcare center.
Yeah. Well, but what I'm hearing though also is that maybe the policy, particularly Appendix B, isn't robust enough to handle the situations.
Well,
Front of
I
us.
think in general for Bowen Island, maybe it works, but we're talking specifically for the community center. And that's not
Mhm.
noted in B.
No. Availability and appropriate site is all that's in there. Do you think we need to have different guiding principles for that facility, different from the,
I do.
okay,
And when we go into closed, I can tell you a little bit more
All right. Let's table that then.
that we
okay,
mysterious about these.
No,
things,
yeah,
but-
fair enough. It can be a thorny issue if we're not careful, so.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, we want to handle it like, and you're right, about setting precedents and all that, absolutely, yeah.
All right, let's send that to this meeting. So we'll push 4.3 to the end.
I think we're there now.
Oh.
Yeah.
You are correct. Okay,
So you're gonna, someone needs to move to the closed.
okay. I'm going to move to closed meeting. Everyone okay? All right, thank you, Phil.
We'll just pause and make sure we're.
Yeah.
Keeping up
Yeah.
time, and off the air, and there was a
Yeah.
message that came through. Did you see that, sir?
I did not.
I'm not sure if that's a message. I heard a ding and then I saw that.
I don't think that it's.
Okay.
Are we off?
Are you adjourning the meeting? Or we don't need to,
Oh, yes, we need to
we
adjourn.
need to do the agenda.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn? We're covered? Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, just give me a moment to get.
Bear with us. I kept staring here, but I guess they're actually.
I know, I know, it's so hard, it was better than turning it backwards.
No, it is true,
Trying to look at them this way.